If you're waiting to get clarity before you start your service-based business, you might be waiting forever. You see, there's this internal dialogue that goes on, and I've experienced it too, where you're thinking thoughts like, when it's God, it will feel clear. When it's my calling, I will have peace. When it's time, I will just know. Maybe yours is, I just need a little bit more confirmation, or let me research it a little bit more. In today's episode, I'm dismantling the myth that says, if I am truly called, it would feel clear before I move. Now, that myth or that belief sounds spiritual, but it is quietly keeping a lot of Christians who are working a 9-to-5, who have been called to more, stuck in their corporate job and unable to move into starting that business God has called them to start. If you're ready and excited, like I am always, pop in those earbuds, lace those shoes, and let's get started. You're currently working a 9-to-5, but you know you're called to do more. You feel unfulfilled at a 9-to-5 job you've clearly outgrown. You ignore the quiet nudge and your internal GPS prompting you to move in a new direction because you're afraid of losing the stability of a paycheck and stepping into something uncertain. If that resonates with you, you're in the right place. Welcome to Start That Business Podcast, a faith-based business podcast for Christians working a 9-to-5 who feel called to more. Here you will find the clarity, strategy, systems, and faith-led guidance you need to step boldly into your God-given calling to start a service-based business. My name is Chichi Okomadu. I'm a business strategist, an implementation coach, and a Jesus follower. I knew I was called to start a business, but I struggled with lack of clarity, self-doubt, and the fear of losing a stable income. My lack of courage kept me stuck in my 9-to-5 until I traded it for faith and obedience to God's calling. I left my job, built a 7-figure service-based business, and ran it for 13 years. Now I help other Christians working a 9-to-5 do the same. Your next assignment starts here with someone who has lived the journey, navigated the transitions, endured the pressure, reading the ups and downs, and stayed anchored in faith through it all. You don't have to stay stuck in unfulfillment, fear, doubt, or lack of clarity because God has already equipped you to launch the business He placed in your heart. It's time to partner with God and step boldly into your calling to start that business. You know the one I'm talking about? Yes, that one you've been putting off for a long time. A couple of years ago, I went to get my hair done at a hair salon that is owned by my friend. And during the process of getting my hair done, we will normally catch up on life and what is going on in each other's life and world. So it was like a time of reconnection for both of us. So during that particular hair session, she asked me, "Oh, what about this business idea you've been talking about? Have you started something?" And I started telling her how I needed more clarity, how I was still researching it, and just trying to get more clear before I actually moved. And what she said next just took me out. I was not expecting the response that she gave me after I told her everything that was going on. She told me, she's like, "Chichi, I have known you for 2 years now, and you have been talking about this same business idea for 2 years. When are you going to start something?" Ooh, she gave it to me that day. And it really got me thinking about this myth that I believed during a part of my entrepreneurial journey. And this is the myth that says, if I am truly called, it will feel clear before I move. Now, this myth is rooted in the belief that your calling comes with clarity, or obedience comes after certainty, or peace comes before action. But when you look at scripture, when you look at people God called to build something, to do something, they didn't always have all the clarity they needed. Sometimes it was just one word God gave them. So it might sound wise to want to wait until you get all the clarity before you move, because as Christians, we are taught to not move ahead of God, to work alongside Him or work with Him, but not ahead of Him. And we are taught to not strive. So we're always optimizing not to make mistakes or do things that are not pleasing to God. And it might feel safe to just wait for clarity, keep researching, staying in the research mode. It might feel productive. But here's what I've learned in 13 years of being an entrepreneur and building businesses. Clarity does not descend from heaven. Clarity is developed over time. And we see this in scripture with so many Bible characters that God gave an instruction to work with. They did not just wait until they had all the clarity. They moved with what they had. Now, here's why this belief is keeping a lot of Christians working a 9-to-5 who have been called to start a business stuck. The belief protects your identity, because if you've never started something, you still believe that you can succeed in it because you've not actually moved. So there's no room for failure yet. So you're still in this fantasy world, and that fantasy stays intact as long as you keep researching, as long as you keep Googling, you keep asking ChatGPT 1,000 questions about this business idea, and it feels productive. It also protects you from visibility. When you sit in that research phase and that place where you're waiting for clarity, your visibility does not get judged. You are not exposed to anything. There's no evaluation for you because you have not actually launched anything into the world. It also protects you from imperfection because, again, you've not moved, you've not launched anything, so you are safe. When you begin to execute on an idea, it exposes you to other people's criticism, other people's judgment. It exposes the knowledge gaps that you have. So that's why a lot of people stay in the research stage, because it somewhat keeps you in this safety zone. As long as I'm researching, as long as I have not actually moved to launch this business, I am still safe. And that research can become perfectionism covered in a cloak of wisdom. So it looks like, oh, I'm being wise, I'm being protective, I'm being productive rather. But it's just perfectionism wrapped in this cloak of wisdom. Some people might even call it discernment, but sometimes it's fear that is behind this, the fear of stepping out, the fear of moving forward. Clarity doesn't come from thinking. Clarity comes from taking action, from getting feedback. You don't discover the niche that you're supposed to serve by researching and waiting until the clarity comes. You discover your niche by actually launching something to at least the target audience you feel called to. Then as they listen to your message and give you feedback, you refine that message along the way as you go. As you have conversations, you discover more of what their needs are. You're even able to niche down even more. You don't refine your offer by imagining it, by drawing it out on paper and mapping it all out. You refine your offer by actually launching it to live potential clients who actually put money down to buy your offer, and they start using it and they get transformation. And that is where clarity comes. Then you know, oh, this one-on-one coaching is not going to work for me. I need to transition into group coaching. All that clarity comes as you actually start doing something. You're able to refine the way you sell. You're able to change your messaging to match the same words that your target audience are using to describe their pain and describe the transformation they want to see. As you push your stuff into the world, the market shapes your clarity, and you're able to sift through the fog of just staying in that research mode to actually getting concrete feedback that can move you forward. Most people lack clarity because they lack structure. When you don't build a foundation, your messaging is floating, your niche is shifting every week, your confidence is wavering. When you don't build customer experience, you don't see how people respond. You don't understand objections. You don't refine your positioning because you haven't built these structures to be able to capture intel or capture data as you continue to move. So clarity is actually a byproduct of a structured execution. So if you want clarity, it will come when you start executing in a strategic way. So you take action, you learn, you rinse and repeat. That was the same way it was for me when I started my first service-based business. When I finally launched it and started serving customers, the amount of clarity I got kept increasing for every year that I was in business. If you've been stuck in research mode, if you've been waiting for certainty, if you feel called but you're unclear on how to move, that's exactly why I created the live workshop, Start That Business live workshop. Inside the workshop, I will walk you step by step through how to start your own first service-based business without quitting your job yet. I will walk you through the structured execution that when you implement it, it will give you the clarity you need to start and keep building and growing and scaling that business to what it can actually be. You don't need more inspiration. You don't need more research. You need structure. To register for this live workshop, go to fromjobtobusiness.com to secure your seat. Clarity doesn't come before you move. It comes because you move. And in this workshop, we are going to make moves that will bring the clarity that you're looking for. When God told Abraham to go to a place I will show you, that was the only instruction he gave him. He said, Abraham, go. He didn't even tell him where he was going. He just said, go. So the only clarity Abraham had was the word go. And as he went or as he moved, more clarity came along the journey. So God didn't give him the full map. God didn't give him all the clarity at once. Clarity came as he moved, and it's going to be the same for you. And you see the same all through scripture. It was the same with Moses. Moses had questions. Moses had insecurities, but clarity unfolded in his obedience. As he moved, as he took the steps, the vision became clearer to him, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. In the New Testament, you see the 10 lepers who came to Jesus, and they said, Master, have mercy on us. And Jesus told them, go show yourselves to the priest. Jesus didn't even tell them how they were going to be healed from their leprosy. He just gave them an instruction. He said, go. As they went, they became healed. As they went, they got clarity on the process of how the healing was going to come. So their healing happened as they went. So we see this same pattern with other Bible characters. God works with progressive revelation. That's his pattern. When he gives you an instruction to go and do something or go and start the business, clarity will come as a progression. So if you keep waiting to get the clarity, it's not going to work based on the pattern we see with the way God deals with people in scripture. Clarity is a progressive revelation. It's God's way of doing things. He reveals things to you progressively. So your movement precedes the manifestation of that business you want to start. God rarely gives the entire blueprint all at once. He gives next steps. And if he has given you a step right now on what that business looks like, you need to take that step. As you take that next step, more clarity will come, and more clarity will come, and it keeps going on and on and on. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to replace the myth with a new belief that says clarity is created through obedience inside structured execution. So clarity comes through obedience as I move step by step following a structured execution. I don't wait for clarity. I build clarity by my movement. Foundation produces confidence, clear positioning, defined niche, structured messaging. Customer experience produces refinement. When you're having real conversations with potential customers, you're getting real objections, you're getting real feedback. When structure exists, confusion decreases, confidence increases, momentum is built through movement. You are not unclear because you are not called. You are unclear because you haven't structured your calling, or you haven't started taking steps to execute on your calling. You're still waiting for clarity. So here's what I want you to do going into this week. I want you to stop researching on that idea for the next 30 days. This is a new month of March. I want you to stop researching. Don't do any other research in this month of March. Instead, I want you to do something. I want you to write a simple positioning statement that says, I help put your target audience, if it's Christian moms you help, if it's couples you help, if it's physicians you help, if it's homeschool moms you help, put it in there. I help achieve true . I'll give you an example. So for me, my positioning statement will sound like this. I help Christians working a 9-to-5 who have been called to start a business achieve or start their first service-based business through my accelerator program. So take time to write your positioning statement this week. Then once you're done writing your positioning statement, I want you to look in your circle, maybe on your phone, on your LinkedIn or Facebook group you're in, identify one potential customer that is your ideal customer or client, and reach out to that person to book one discovery conversation this week. You are not trying to sell anything to them. You just want to ask them questions so you can get real feedback, have real conversation, and you have real data that you can use to improve what you are trying to launch or what you are trying to build. That is foundation. That is customer experience. That is clarity in motion. And I challenge you to do that this week. As you do, you will be amazed at so much more clarity you will get in this business God has called you to start. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I pray it made you feel seen, taught you something new, and encouraged you to take action. If it did, please hit the follow button so you're notified when a new episode drops. If today's episode resonated with you and you're ready to start your business while working your 9-to-5, head to fromjobtobusiness.com to book your discovery call. Lastly, it will be a huge blessing if you left a review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts. It's the number one way I know this podcast is serving you. Until next time, remember, your expertise is needed, your calling is real, and I'm here to help you make it a reality.